Alex had a tremendous experience in Belarusian outsourcing. He was managing companies for 20 years. And after that, he became a business angel and invested in more than 50 startups, which is a very, very wide portfolio, quite unknown among Belarusians. So, Alex, I know you were born and raised in Minsk. You graduated Polytechnica, and then you've decided to went to the military, and then you've decided to move to Chicago. Tell us a little bit about that from your perspective.
I didn't make any decisions about military, that's for sure. During Soviet years, that was being unfortunate, but people were what they call in US drafted, right? So, despite being a student. About US, that was a little different. I graduated to US with my parents back in '93. And, the rest is history. It's been 32 years in the States. But Minsk is still my home city. I know it's kind of sounds strange, but every time when I had a chance to go to Minsk, which happened to be 2019, last time for various reasons, as you could imagine, right? It's same thing, you know. I felt deja vu when the plane would go to Minsk too. You see this forest, right? And you land in this airport that's no man's land. It's priceless, you know. This airport that looks like desert in terms of number of people, etc. It's like, oh, that's capital city of my homeland. Beautiful. But the hope dies less, so we'll see. I would love to be back, you know.
And then when you moved to Chicago, you dived into the corporate America for a bit. How did it feel? To be politically correct, it felt awful. And it's still, you know, I would say that was probably the most boring years of my life. American corporations are not for faint-hearted. You have to be politically correct, and you have to make sure you don't use too much of your logical thinking, you know. Rational thoughts and innovations, unfortunately, don't belong too much in large corporations. And I remember early days of truly great companies. I do respect Google a lot. But there are not that many Googles in the world. Most of corporations look and feel the same. And going back to our theme, we have this saying about outsourcing. Not a single CIO or CTO lost their job because they outsourced to India. That's the safest bet. So we always had uphill battle to explain to them where Belarus is located, where is Ukraine, and why it's so much better to work with our countries or with LATAM, not with India. We've previously talked about Alex's life for a bit for me to know what to talk about. And obviously, I've got really impressed by one funny story about sauna, about banya. And it kind of changed your corporate life at that moment. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I'll tell the story in English, but I cannot use the word sauna for means banyas. It is banya, right? So people, at least of my generation, maybe a little younger, remember «Ирония судьбы» или «С легким паром», right? So that was that type of the story. I went to Minsk first time in 2002 after 9 years away. Had a chance to see the world. I'm coming back, of course. I'm going to Banya with my friends. And one of the guys happened to be partner in technology outsourcing business. And that's kind of changed the trajectory of my life. I became investor and silent partner. And no, I didn't go to St. Petersburg, and for sure I didn't go to Leningrad either, you know. But it changed my life. I became much more involved in global IT services world. I started coming to Minsk every year. Well, the rest is history. We grew. We had development centers in Ukraine, and it was quite a journey, I have to say.
I actually had a pre-made question, which should be the next one, is about what are the factors that gave us the competitive strength for the outsourcing industry at that time. But it was answered so many times today, and with quite the same factors. So I'm going to skip right through now times and the crisis in the global outsourcing. So we see that the outsourcing companies are transforming at tremendous pace. They are losing their businesses a bit. And we've heard about it all on the stage today in the early morning. And we are seeing that in indicators. Of course, there is also political crisis on top in the region. And it seems like the whole outsourcing business is going down. What should they do?
Well, that's definitely not an easy problem to solve, and there is not a single bullet point, right? There is no magic bullet here. But there are, I would say that the news about global IT services and technology outsourcing death are slightly exaggerated. I don't really see it in the world. There is certainly not a hockey stick. There is not much of growth curve in outsourcing world, but companies in our region and as well as other regions find the way to compete, find the way to find their clients, and find the way to succeed, to be honest. It's whether they go vertically or they go horizontally or they try to build the product from one of their solutions for the clients. There are different ways, but the pie is still growing and there is really enough business for everyone. That's how I feel, more optimistically.
Okay, and maybe just using the workforce of other regions which are cheaper at this stage, because last year at BelTech we were talking a lot about Africa and outsourcing the stuff from there. That was a huge topic for large Belarusian outsourcing players. Of course, we talked about India, but about India we talk all the time. Do you think this might be the magic pill? So kind of being a Belarusian-owned company, but having the stuff in Africa, does it sound like a scenario to you? And the second one, what are the other possible pills? Maybe like going into the product, transforming into the product company a little bit with your experience. So Africa, hiring stuff from abroad, which EPAM eventually did, and maybe product line. What are the pills?
Well, I mean, products, if you have something to say in products, is definitely an option. I'm not familiar with African market. What works very well with Eastern Europe, though, it's LATAM. I told my Ukrainian partners and Belarusian partners many years ago, I said, you should establish second base in LATAM. It's great area. If you want to work with American clients, LATAM is a great region. It's large, it's diverse, it's nearshoring. It means that time zone is very similar. And I still believe there is a lot to be said about combination between Eastern Europe and LATAM. That works for sure. In terms of, outside products, there are also other ways to be, to grow. And one of the things is presence. You have to be present with your executive and senior sales staff in the areas where your clients are. And you have to work on client management. You cannot do it from Belarus or Ukraine. I mean, practically not. Not from my experience anyway.
Sure. So just skipping through the outsourcing a bit, I think that the angel stuff is much more interesting. You said to me that you've started in 2017, I guess. And since then, you've made more than 50 angel investments with 4 or even 5 exits that happened since then. And after the whole corporate world, which actually the outsourcing kind of was the mini corporate, right? So maybe not the corporate America, but a kind of small one. You've started doing it for pleasure, as you told me. How did it feel?
I don't know about pleasure. That's more like pain, you know, if you know what I mean. And it's not from adult movies. Sorry. Angel investment is pain. I wish it's pleasure, but when we're talking about 45 or 50 companies, you should expect 5 to 10 that are zombies. Zombies are the worst companies, as you could imagine. Zombies are the companies that don't shut down properly, so you cannot realize tax losses, but they don't do anything at all on the market. There are usually a lot of 1x's and 2x's, and you have to understand that there is completely different world. The paths of angel investors are convergent with VCs. VCs play with someone else's money. I'm being LP in few funds, can say, yes, they're playing with my money. Angel investors not only play with their own money, they do it after taxes, and they don't have liquidation preferences, preferred shares, often, etc. So it's a little bit different game. But there are enough success stories to justify that. I can say that I believe. I think Dmitry, right? No, maybe Konstantin recommended this great book by Ilya Stribulaev, Dmitry did, Venture Mindset. I also highly recommend the book. I think it will open up a lot of avenues for you, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of moving away from corporate mindset to startup mindset. That's really the main lesson of this book. So,
I was actually reading it like 3 months ago, and then I was invested by Zuber Capital to teach a couple of lectures, and I've thought, oh my, I'm gonna include so many stuff from out of this book. Let's just take it. It was so valuable. Yeah, I loved it. You were telling me about people love to judge by the exits. That's true. So maybe by your current portfolio as well, of course, but people love to know how successful were your deals, what were the exits, who have you sold it to, etc., etc. And you've told me about one successful Ukrainian deal, which I think is closer to our region. Tell us about it.
Well, there is not much to tell about this particular exit. It was fairly respectable. I call respectable exit that's more than 2x in less than 5 years or less. So yeah, that was successful exit, and but there is not much to say. I'm much more excited about exits that haven't happened yet. I'm investor in the company that's I believe pioneering autonomous driving for all other car companies that are not called Tesla. Check them out, Helm AI. Their main partner is Honda, and they're doing it with sensors only, no lidars, but their progress is great. I mean, I've done a demo. I think they're going to be a really great company, and their founders are also from Ukraine, by the way. Yeah.
Also, an unexpected one came to mind. When I see great projects starting to happen somewhere around here in the Warsaw, and you know that basically because you know the traction, you know the founders, you know that they already had crazy exits. I always think, oh my gosh, maybe I should do angel. Maybe I should like take this very small check of 10K out of my pocket and go spend it. What is actually the amount of money you would say person should have to start an angel investment? Not about but what is the minimum limit to comfortably dive into the large wide portfolio?
Don't want to sound Captain Obvious, but you can only invest money that you can afford to lose, right? So the rule of thumb, you should not invest more than, I don't know, people say even 10, but in my opinion, 20% of your liquid net worth. So in other words, you know, if you have I don't mean your house, it's not necessarily liquid unless you want to sell it and live on the streets of Palo Alto, which used to be very fashionable about 15 years ago, and take shower once a week and, divorce and have checks bounce, etc. But in reality, it's also depends on your risk tolerance. But I would say 20%, probably not more. And the problem we currently have is what I call there are not many exits in early stage, people who invest like me in seed rounds, and that's a real problem. How did Splin say? Выхода нет. If there is no exits, it's a problem.
On those problem, I had a meme developed in my lecture. It was the building of Palo Alto and the Steve Jobs laughing above it. For those who know the story. You co-invest a lot with the angel communities, and you've said that you were an LP in a couple of funds. Could you share the funds and the communities you work with, and why is it important? How do you find, ideas together? How do you evaluate together? Does it help or does it rather distract? What's your take on that?
I like to co-invest, and some of the communities I work with, it's called, one is Alumni Ventures, which is a great, very active association and group in the States. But the other one, kind of closer to our theme, One Way Ventures, they invest in immigrant founders, and I'm one of the active LPs. And co-invest alongside them as well. There is also a good Belarusian friends in Cyprus, Veras, Vlad Ratkevich. So that's co-invest with them as well.
Kind of see people who've got investments from Veras from the stage. So, what do you give to the startups apart from the money? So, because if I remember correctly, Dmitry was rather saying that you should be cautious. He told us this beautiful story about the piglet and the pig later on, right? And being careful about the investors and what are the end goals. But many of the startups, and actually many of the investors, they claim we're going to help. We have such a good community. We have such a good connections among our previous investments. Oh my gosh, we're going to connect you to all of the funds we co-invest with. Does it truly work? Does it work in your case? Or would you be a little bit skeptical on that? Or you actually think that the involvement is important?
I personally believe that involvement is very essential, very important. If you as an investor are not willing to help, why bother? Why don't you go and invest your money in a Magnificent 7 or Super 6? Like, create your portfolio with Teslas and Microsofts of the world. If you invest your money in very risky startups, you want to give them something, in most cases, something more than just money. You want to give them connections. You want to give them help with fundraising. More than likely, you can perhaps give them access to good technology teams that can help them to build the products. And for startups, very quick observation, piece of advice: you have to build your fan club among investors, and you have to be very patient. If you feel that you want to fundraise just by doing cold pitches, and that you can your strategy is to try to bother every single investor that comes to the conference and try to pitch them, you are dead wrong. That doesn't work at all. So you have to create your own community, and I even call it fan club.
When we were thinking about the BelTech, one of the important issues was how to fund it. How to pay for it all, because it's not a commercial project. For those who don't know, we don't really make money of it. We kind of make it a community investments, and many organizations help to us just as the generosity rather than the investment in advertisement or something like that. So when we were looking at who could support us the very, very obvious thing was, okay, maybe let's take a look at other conference and the logotypes under their portfolios. And I think we could apply this approach to looking for investors. So those who come and actively seek the startups themselves in the region, for example, the investors from the BelTech program, first one, second one, third one, this is kind of the the people startups should look for, because you are proactive. You're scared about having a lot of pitches coming around?
To be blunt, yes. That's not how it works in the world. Myself and a lot of angel investors prefer to have meetings and introductions kind of preset, so to speak. So you cannot really, unless you're a pitch junkie. I know some pitch junkies, they're ready to listen to pitches all day, all night. I don't know why though. There is only 24 hours in the day, right? But so you wanna focus on startups and founders that you already kind of pre-selected. And by the way, there is the great saying that I 100% support. I bet on a jockey, not on a horse. So if there is no chemistry with the founder and the team initially, gut feeling tells me that I should run away. Every time I violated my own rule, I suffered. There was not much pleasure, but there was pain and write-offs. So
I believe there was the whole chapter on that in the venture mindset, right? The jockey. Okay, so we're gonna have the last question because the time is running slow, and obviously that's an open floor to you. But just to give the brief outline: Soviet times, army, Minsk, Chicago, 20 years of outsourcing, a little bit of consulting and outsourcing, and 50 angel investments. Give the younger audience, the startups, your advice, or maybe to everyone, not only to the startups. What do you think is important? How shall we succeed in immigration? You succeeded. Show us what should we do here in Warsaw, what you have done in Chicago.
Well, I never lived in Warsaw. It's a beautiful city. But the only kind of advice, I don't want to once again sound like Captain Obvious and give advice. It's more of, being patient and resilient and just don't give up too easily. The whole idea of fail fast and be very proud of it was born and raised in Silicon Valley. It might not be applicable to everyone. So I believe in pivots in life, and pivot means not just for startups, but for your perhaps personal life or for investors as well. And that's really, the only thing I can say. And Belarusians are resilient. Everyone said that from this stage, and we're also very creative. We can do a whole lot of shit without a lot of resources, right? So to that,
Alex Golod, angel investor, Belarusian angel investor from Chicago.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.